My name is Joana Bernd and I'm a visual artist from Germany. I was born and raised on the countryside in a very small village surrounded by vineyards and forests, and I still remember quite vividly that it seemed as if stories lurked among trees and were inscribed in books. And I do feel that this upbringing has definitely shaped the way that I perceive the world, as in my strong affinity to making up stories, telling stories, and watching our surroundings as they evolve constantly. I think that this is one of my biggest inspiration, actually, just the world that awaits day after day after day, with all the profound and beautiful human experiences, or experiences at all. There are so many banalities that carry such unbelievable beauty when you just watch them closely. Also, I do think that there are so many artists that inspire me a lot and that I admire for their work. Pretty common ones are probably Paul Klee, Miro, Sophie Calle, Herman de Vries, Kiki Smith, and I feel every day someone new joins the club of inspiration. And also there are so many contemporary artists who open up their lives and their creative process to follow, which is a beautiful thing about the 21st century. At the moment, I'm focusing on trying to focus, working in different media such as painting, photography, installation. I sometimes have a hard time to stick with something because my interests change day after day, just as my inspiration does. And something that has stuck with me though is the motive of stages, as in stages of life, stages in a theater, the stages of our everyday life. The painting as a stage, and how we just emerge from one stage into the other. That's why I would love to explore the possibility of incorporating my surroundings more. So, yeah, let's see. The biggest challenge of being an artist to me is definitely, well, to me, it seems like working into nothingness. Because, you ask 100 different people about your work and you will get 100 different points of view of your work. So all you can really have as your motivation is yourself. And that means on some days you have a fire burning in your chest and you want to get into the studio, you want to paint, you want to create. It sparks, it sprinkles, it shines. And then on other days you just sit with the ashes and think of that bonfire that once was so bright, and the creative flame dies and comes back. And sometimes you have to sit with this void that, especially to me, opens up whenever I finish a bigger piece of work. But I've come to terms with it, especially when I'm in a good, in the good part, when I'm creating. I'm like, oh, what could even happen? Obviously, it's stages, it's the waves of life. And then you enter the void and you're like, oh no, not that again. How did I navigate out of it again? And you navigate out by just sitting with it and getting back into the studio day after day, but not forcing yourself to create anything beyond yourself. If I had to give a piece of advice to my younger self, it would actually be to embrace all these different interests and not think that I would have to decide for one. I think especially when you're an artist working with different media, it's easy to hold on to that belief that you have to decide for one media to get really excellent in. And for some that might be true, but for me, my strength is really in shifting through different ways of expression. So just embrace the way that you work, because it is yours and yours only. When it comes to unconventional mediums or techniques, I sometimes try to to save my tears, to paint with them, which is, we all have our moments. At this point in the art world, I don't know if anything is really unconventional. Probably how we bring together different material and media. So, painting with sticks or with different pigments from the earth, or scratching really into paper is what I really like to do. I love to be surrounded by silence when I create. Sometimes I do listen to some music, maybe some sets on SoundCloud, but generally I love when there are no distractions, because then when I'm most focused on my thoughts and can hear my intuition the loudest and can make decisions, because a lot of making art is about making decisions. And especially when I'm very well aware that I am creating, I want to be self-centered. And that comes easiest to me when I don't listen to music, because I get distracted very easily. Whenever someone tells me that they get what an artwork is about, that's the biggest compliment there ever is. It's so profound. But I do feel, as human beings, we're so profound. Actually, we just want to understand and be understood. At least that's what I want to believe. So every time anyone tells me or texts me that my work really touched them or made them understand something they were struggling with or made them feel less alone, is when my heart opens up and I'm like, okay, this is it. This is the right path. Because that's actually what I want people to take away from my work, to be very, very tender and to feel very, very understood, and to know there might be darkness. It's always part of life, but it's never the narrative. Thank you for letting me be part of this.